I didn't have any youth in my life. My youth I spent in the ghetto. The Germans told all the Jews from the town to come to the courthouse. And they put them right on the trucks and straight to the graves. The Germans said that people that was left to stay here and work for them, and we're going to remain alive. But the youth from the people that was left in the ghetto decided to build a tunnel. And one day they said, the tunnel is ready, we are going out. When we got out, the first thing we smelled was the freedom. We got out from the ghetto after so many years. We were free.
On the rainy night of September the 26th, 1943, Lisa Reibel, with her sister Ray and father, escaped through a tunnel from the Novogrudok work camp with nearly 250 other Jews. After 5 days and nights of living in the forest, they were found by the famous Bielski Brigade, a group of Jewish partisans, resistance fighters. Lisa and the other survivors joined them, and for nearly a year helped the Bielski partisans fight the Germans and their collaborators with 1,200 other Jews.
We didn't think that we were going to remain alive and we'll get out from the tunnel, but we were between life and death.
Я за вами туда приехал.
Вы работаете тут, в Беларуси?
Я живу и работаю в Беларуси. А за вами просто приехал на машине забрать вас.
Today I'm going back to Novogrudok. I was born here. And now, after 60 years, I'm going back.
Novogrudok was part of Poland until 1939, when Germany and the Soviet Union divided the country under a secret non-aggression pact. When the Soviet Union collapsed in the 1990s, Novogrudok became part of the independent country of Belarus. Lisa Reibel and her family have embarked on an incredible journey. She has returned to her birthplace to attend the opening of a new museum dedicated to her and her fellow Novogrudok survivors, many of them Jewish partisans like Lisa.
I feel very bad about coming back because when I lived, we had 6,000 Jews, and now we have only graves.
Growing up in our home, we knew about the ghetto and the tunnel and how they lived in the forest with the partisans. But hearing the stories and actually being there was a totally different experience.
Okay, I think he's backing us into the grave so that it's easier for him to get out. It's a good location because it's quiet. The forest is very thick. I felt great about being able to be there with my Aunt Lisa. I also sort of felt like I had a little bit of my Bubby Ray with me. I never really understood her until I went there and saw where she came from.
I had 2 sisters and 1 brother. One sister, Lisa Reibel, and the other sister, Renesta, was killed in the first cleanup from the Jews. I had a brother, Honan, but he was killed when he went out from the tunnel. My father came from 14 children. 14 children, so he had sisters and 1 brother. And my mother was from 4 children in Bielski. But
They killed him right away.
You okay?
On their first day in Novogrudek, they visit a mass grave where her oldest sister Hanesta is buried, along with 90% of the town's Jews who were murdered by the Germans and their collaborators.
So were all the people from Novogrudek? Those are the 5,100 that are here.
That's a 5,100.
Are here.
Are here. It's a first.
Was your mother in this one, like it?
No, she was in the last one.
Hanesta. My sister
Your sister
Hanesta
was
was
here.
here.
Your sister was here.
This is the place where it was the first action in Novogrudek, and my grandparents were taken from their home. They were brought to the courthouse, and they were brought here, and they were killed. And here they are. Here's the place. I've heard about it for many years. It's the first time I've seen it.
I was feeling angry because I felt the connection to the people that were buried there. These people were living their lives, working hard, growing families, and they were taken from this peaceful, quiet environment, and just their lives were destroyed for no good reason.
It was a happy life, a happy childhood. I used to go to Hebrew school. Saturday we used to see each other at the synagogue, and we had a wonderful childhood.
The whole family was in head business and fall business. While 2 days a week we used to have like markets. You know, we used to bring in all the stuff in the streets and we used to sell it. We had a nice social life before the war.
On June 22, 1941, Germany broke the non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union, and soon Novogrudek was under German control. Anti-Semitic laws were enforced. Jews were relocated into ghettos and lost most of their rights, jobs, and businesses. Life was only going to get worse.
A few weeks after the Germans were here, we were in the trucks to go to the first grave. So the 2 Germans came running and they said, "Where are the foyers?" And we had 4 business. So my mother ran over, she says, "My husband's the foyer." She said, "Come here, you have a family?" They said, "Yes." And they put us all back and they put us back to the courthouse. And she saved our life.
Lisa has come to see where her mother is buried.
When we got to the mass grave that held my great-grandmother, it was just the most powerful experience because my Aunt Lisa had never been to her own mother's grave, and it's on top of a hill, and she was not able to get there on her own, and my brothers and my cousin Jacob and myself carried her up there.
She had been mentioning how this was going to bring everything full circle. She had never seen the grave of her mother, and she was able to achieve a sense of wholeness in that sense.
Yeah.
She was 42 years old. "42 years old, hotel business and everything, and didn't see nothing in her life.
For nothing. It's just a waste.
For what?
Hatred.
Yeah.
Hatred.
I had a very nice relationship with my mother, but I was that I'm very young. And when I really started to know my mother, I lost her. I knew she was killed, but I didn't know where she was buried, and it really bothered me very much. And after 60 years, I went to visit her grave, and I was very happy. At least I knew where she rested. To me, it was like I saw everything in my life.
The first time I came here was on the 6th of December 1941, together with 6,000 Jews. They put down a high fence that they shouldn't be able to see the outside world, double barbed wire around us. They made in the front building, which used to be here, workshops for specialists to work for the German army. I was working here with my father as a saddle maker.
Here was the Novogrudok work camp where 65 years ago, Jack Kagan and 250 other Jews escaped.
After the last killing, the 250 people where my mother and sister was killed, the plan was taken to dig a tunnel.
Today, Lisa and her family are here at the opening of a new museum commemorating their escape.
I would like to lay a wreath for the 70 people who escaped from the tunnel and didn't survive. So this is for the victims of the Novogrudok.
It brings a lot of memories. It's memories that I wanted to forget a little bit.
Growing up and hearing the stories is not the same as actually standing in the courthouse and looking around. You felt the people that were sitting there not knowing what the next hour is going to bring. Being a part of this whole experience made it more real. I got a better understanding of what these people really went through. You must know these people.
Here's my father, my mother. Your mother? Here's Ray, here's Connie, here's Kamler, here's Shea Godinsky. And this is the barracks. Used to be straw. They called it the nars. That's how we slept. They had straw on top of it, and we slept. I didn't think I was going to escape.
We started on the third week of May, and we finished 26th of September. And because this was the last room from as far as possible from the police station, the decision was to make the tunnel here. So they've made a lift up from the last bed, as you have seen, and they started digging from here. At night, everybody used to get the bags. They used to sit in a row. Each one was passing on the bags. Double walls were built, and earth was put in between these two to get rid of the earth. It was a major operation.
With only spoons and makeshift tools, the prisoners dug a tunnel 750 feet long, hiding over 500,000 pounds of earth in the walls of their barracks. Finally, on the night of September 26th, nearly 250 Jews escaped through a hole approximately 2 feet wide, crawling one by one to an unknown fate.
We weren't so scared because, we were between life and death. If you're not going to do it, you're going to die anyway, so mine is well go on. You do it.
Lisa, Ray, and her father walked in the forest for 5 days, looking for food, shelter, and freedom. The Bielski partisans had heard of their escape and were looking for them. During World War II, there were approximately 20,000 to 30,000 Jews who escaped the Germans and their collaborators. They fought in partisan units all over Europe. Partisans were armed resistance fighters behind enemy lines. They blew up trains and convoys and saved thousands of lives. Tuvia Bielski and his brothers formed one of the most important Jewish partisan groups. Most Jews were a minority in their partisan unit. Like the armies of today, partisans looked for young men to join their ranks. But the Bielskis were different. They brought in the elderly, children, and women. Tuvia would say, "I would rather save one old woman than kill 10 Nazi soldiers."
We heard that Tuvia Bielski sent out young boys to pick us up on wagons, and he took us to the woods.
And then finally, when we came there, they said to have a bunks. You're going to sleep in the bunks, and you're going to live here.
A small group within the Bielski Brigade actively fought the Germans and their collaborators. But most of the 1,200 partisans worked to support their fighters and local Russian partisans, all needing clothes mended, weapons fixed, and meals cooked. Towards the end of the war, the Bielskis built a permanent partisan camp with a metal shop, a bakery, a soap factory, a mill, a tannery, and a tailor shop. They even had hat makers. Lisa, Ray, and her father fit in perfectly within this group.
They said to my father he should make hats for the partisans. So I was helping him, that's all. And everybody was a little occupied. And they gave us rations, some bread and everything to eat. And that's the way we stayed about a year. We had a dinner in New York from the Bielski partisans, and they said that time that from the 1,200 people that is saved is now 10,000 people.
What I really enjoyed about the trip to Novogrudok was getting to see the life of my bubby Ray and getting to see where she came from as a child and where she grew up before life drastically changed. I always knew that because my grandmother climbed through a tunnel, I am here today, okay? But seeing the tunnel, I appreciate my life that much more, that had she not climbed through that tunnel and had Lisa not gone through the tunnel, we all wouldn't be here.
It's an unbelievable legacy to think that my mother survived and therefore I am alive, and now, thank God, I have children and grandchildren. And each time I look at my grandchildren and my children, I think this is a beautiful tribute to the determination, the courage that these people had. It saved generations and generations.